Hi guys, relax, and step gently into the ancient world. Far away in time, long before the sound of engines, before electric lights glowed in the darkness, before cities stretched across the horizon, there was a land where life moved to the quiet rhythm of a river. Tonight, we travel there. The night is still. The sky above ancient Egypt is filled with countless stars. Their pale light shines over the wide waters of the Nile. The river moves slowly through the darkness, calm and steady, just as it has for thousands of years. A warm breeze drifts across the water. Along the riverbank stand rows of mud-brick homes. Their flat roofs rest beneath the moonlight. Most people are asleep now. Families lie on woven mats. Workers rest after long hours beneath the desert sun. The sounds of the day have faded away. Only a few noises remain. Somewhere in the darkness, a dog shifts in its sleep. A gentle splash rises from the river. The wind brushes softly against reeds growing near the shore. Everything else is quiet. In a few hours, the first light of morning will appear beyond the eastern horizon. The workers of Egypt will wake once again. Farmers, fishermen, builders, bakers, potters, servants, and scribes will begin another ordinary day. History often remembers kings. It remembers monuments. It remembers battles. But most people who lived in ancient Egypt never wore crowns. They never commanded armies. They never appeared in grand carvings on temple walls. Most people worked. Most people rose before sunrise and spent their days carrying water, shaping clay, planting grain, repairing tools, baking bread, hauling stone, or sailing small boats across the Nile. Their lives were simple in many ways. Yet those quiet lives filled the land with movement. Without workers, no city could survive. Without farmers, no family could eat. Without craftsmen, no home could be built. Without servants and laborers, even the greatest temples would remain unfinished. Tonight we spend our time with them. The ordinary people. The tired people. The people whose footprints disappeared from the dusty roads long ago. The air remains cool as the final hours of night pass. Inside one small home, a family sleeps close together. The house is made from mud bricks dried beneath the Egyptian sun. The walls are thick enough to keep some of the heat outside during the day. The rooms are simple. There is little furniture. Most possessions are practical and useful. A clay jar stands in one corner. A basket rests near the wall. A few tools hang from wooden pegs. The family does not own many things. Most workers do not. Life is built around necessities. As the darkness slowly fades, the first person to wake is the mother. She opens her eyes while the stars are still visible. For a moment she remains still. The air feels pleasant now. Cooler than it will be later. Soon the heat will return. It always returns. She rises quietly so she does not wake the children. Her feet touch the smooth floor. She moves through the room and begins preparing for the day. Outside, more homes are waking. Small lights begin to appear. The smell of baking bread slowly drifts through narrow streets. Ancient Egyptian bread is a daily food for rich and poor alike. Every morning, countless workers begin their day with bread. The process starts early. Grain must first be ground into flour. This work often takes time and effort. Women kneel beside grinding stones, moving them back and forth again and again. The sound is familiar. Stone against stone. A slow scraping rhythm. The sound carries through villages every morning. Hands become rough from years of grinding grain. Arms grow strong. The work is repetitive, but necessary. Soon dough is mixed and shaped. Simple ovens grow warm. Bread begins to bake. The scent spreads through the morning air. Nearby, another worker wakes. He is a farmer. Like many farmers along the Nile, his life follows the river's seasons. His body carries signs of years spent outdoors. His skin is darkened by sunlight. His hands are calloused. His muscles have developed through endless labor. He sits quietly for a moment before standing. The day ahead will be long. Outside, the eastern sky grows pale. Birds begin calling from the reeds. The farmer eats a simple meal. Bread. Perhaps some onions. Maybe a few dates if they are available. Nothing fancy. Just enough to begin the day. Then he steps outside. The village is becoming alive. Neighbors greet one another softly. People move through narrow pathways between homes. Children rub sleep from their eyes. Donkeys wait patiently beside walls. The farmer starts walking. Dust rises gently beneath his sandals. The road ahead follows the river. As sunlight slowly reaches the land, the Nile reveals itself once more. The water shines with soft gold reflections. Fishing boats float quietly near shore. Palm trees sway gently. Everything seems peaceful. And yet thousands of workers are already beginning their labor. The fields stretch across fertile land beside the river. This dark soil is precious. Without it, Egypt could not survive. Year after year, the Nile floods and leaves behind rich layers of mud. The earth becomes ready for planting. The farmer arrives at his field. There is much to do. Some days involve planting. Other days involve watering. Some days are devoted to harvesting grain beneath a blazing sky. Every season brings different responsibilities. No matter the season, the work is demanding. The farmer bends down and begins. Hours pass slowly. The sun climbs higher. Heat settles across the land. Sweat forms on foreheads. Clothing grows damp. Workers continue anyway. There is little choice. Food depends upon labor. Families depend upon harvests. The rhythm of work continues. Meanwhile, closer to the river, fishermen are beginning their own day. Their boats drift quietly through morning mist. The Nile provides many things. Water. Transportation. Food. Life itself. Fishermen understand the river deeply. They know where fish gather. They know how currents move. They know how weather changes the water. Generations have passed down this knowledge. A fisherman stands near the edge of his small boat. The river laps gently against wood. He casts a net. For a moment the net spreads wide above the water. Then it falls. Ripples move outward. The boat rocks slightly. The morning remains calm. Far away, larger boats travel between settlements. Merchants transport goods. Grain. Papyrus. Pottery. Wood. Stone. The river serves as Egypt's highway. Without it, travel would be much harder. The fishermen continue working beneath the growing sun. Back in a nearby town, workshops have begun to fill. The streets become busier. Workers move from place to place. Voices rise and fall. Doors open. Tools appear. A potter enters his workshop. Clay waits nearby. He has shaped clay since childhood. His father taught him. His grandfather probably did as well. He sits beside his wheel. The room smells faintly of earth. His hands press against wet clay. Slowly, a shape begins to emerge. A bowl. A jar. A vessel for storing food or water. His fingers move with quiet confidence. Years of experience guide every motion. The clay turns. The vessel grows. Nearby, other craftsmen work in their own spaces. Carpenters shape wood. Weavers prepare cloth. Stone workers smooth rough surfaces. Each trade has its own sounds. Hammering. Scraping. Cutting. Spinning. The town hums softly with industry. Nothing feels rushed. The pace is steady. Ancient life often moves according to daylight. Workers know they must use the morning wisely before afternoon heat becomes overwhelming. As the sun rises higher, shadows shrink. The air grows warmer. Then hotter. Dust hangs in the light. The desert surrounding the Nile begins releasing stored heat. By midday, workers feel its full strength. The farmer wipes sweat from his face. The fisherman searches for shade. The potter pauses briefly. Even breathing seems heavier. Heat affects everyone, rich and poor alike. Ancient Egyptian workers spent much of their lives beneath this powerful sun. Rest becomes important. Many workers pause for simple meals. Bread remains common. Beer is also widely consumed. Ancient Egyptian beer is different from modern versions. It is often thick and nutritious, providing energy during long work days. Workers gather together during breaks. They sit beneath trees when possible. They seek shelter near walls. They talk quietly. Perhaps they discuss crops. Perhaps they discuss family. Perhaps they simply enjoy a few moments without labor. The shade feels precious. A cool breeze feels even more precious. Eventually work resumes. The day continues. Hours pass. The sun slowly begins its descent. In the distance, a group of builders is finishing another long day. Their work is difficult. Heavy materials must be moved. Stone must be shaped. Structures require careful planning. Many ancient building projects depend upon large teams working together. The labor can be exhausting. Dust covers clothing. Muscles ache. Hands become sore. Yet these workers possess remarkable skill. Ancient Egypt's famous structures did not appear by magic. They emerged through countless ordinary days of effort. One stone at a time. One task at a time. One worker at a time. As evening approaches, shadows lengthen across the ground. The air begins to soften. Relief slowly arrives. Workers notice it immediately. The worst heat is fading. Birds return to the riverbanks. The Nile glows beneath orange sunlight. The day is ending. People begin returning home. Farmers leave their fields. Fishermen guide boats toward shore. Craftsmen clean their tools. Servants finish final tasks. Dusty roads fill with tired travelers. Many walk quietly. The day's labor sits heavily in their muscles. Feet ache. Shoulders ache. Backs ache. Yet there is comfort in returning home. Small lights begin appearing once more. The smell of evening meals drifts through settlements. Families gather together. Children play briefly before darkness falls. Parents prepare food. Neighbors exchange greetings. The atmosphere changes. Work gives way to rest. Inside a modest home, bread is shared. Perhaps vegetables accompany it. Perhaps fish from the river. The meal is simple. Still, after a long day, it feels satisfying. People eat slowly. Conversation remains gentle. Outside, darkness spreads across the land. The stars return. The Nile becomes silver beneath moonlight. The noise of labor fades away. One by one, workers settle down to sleep. Tomorrow will bring another day. Another sunrise. Another journey to fields, workshops, boats, kitchens, and building sites. But for now, there is only the quiet night. The warm desert breeze moves softly through narrow streets. The river continues its endless journey through the darkness. And beneath the stars of ancient Egypt, thousands of ordinary workers close their eyes and rest. The night passes gently over the Nile. Moonlight rests upon the quiet water, and the villages along the river sleep beneath a sky crowded with stars. The air is cooler now. The heat that filled the day has slowly drifted away into the darkness. Inside mud-brick homes, workers rest after another long day. Some sleep deeply. Others stir occasionally, turning on woven mats or adjusting a folded cloth beneath their heads. A child murmurs softly in a dream. Somewhere outside, a donkey shifts its weight and settles again. The village remains peaceful. The Nile continues its steady journey northward. Hour after hour, the river moves through the darkness without hurry. Long before dawn, a few workers wake once again. Their lives follow ancient rhythms. There are no clocks hanging on walls. No bells marking every hour. People learn to read the sky, the sunlight, the seasons, and the river itself. Time feels different here. The first faint signs of morning appear beyond the eastern horizon. A thin band of pale color stretches across the distant land. The stars slowly begin to fade. The world grows lighter. Birds hidden among reeds and palm trees begin to call to one another. The sounds are soft at first. Then gradually more voices join. Another day is beginning. A woman steps outside her home carrying a clay jar. The ground beneath her sandals still holds some of the night's coolness. She walks toward a place where water can be gathered. Many daily tasks begin with water. Water for drinking. Water for cooking. Water for washing. Water for making dough. Water for countless small needs throughout the day. The jar is not light when full. She carries it carefully. Such work is repeated almost every day of her life. Nearby, another family is already awake. The smell of baking bread once again fills the air. Morning arrives through familiar routines. Hands knead dough. Grinding stones scrape against grain. Small ovens warm slowly. Smoke rises into the brightening sky. Ancient Egypt is a place of routine. Much of life is built upon repetition. The same roads are walked. The same fields are tended. The same boats cross the river. The same tasks return with each sunrise. And yet every day carries its own small differences. A change in weather. A good harvest. A difficult harvest. A conversation with a neighbor. The arrival of traders from another settlement. Life moves forward through countless ordinary moments. As sunlight spreads across the land, farmers once again begin their journey toward the fields. The Nile Valley is narrow compared to the vast desert surrounding it. Green life gathers close to the river. Beyond the fertile land, dry sand stretches toward distant horizons. The contrast is striking. One side offers water and crops. The other offers silence and stone. Farmers understand this relationship deeply. Their survival depends upon the river's generosity. A group of workers walks together along a dusty path. They carry simple tools. The morning air feels pleasant. For now. Everyone knows the heat will return later. There is wisdom in beginning work early. The fields ahead shimmer softly beneath the rising sun. Some workers tend grain. Others care for vegetables. Others inspect irrigation channels that help move water where it is needed. Water management is an important part of life. The Nile provides abundance, but it must be used carefully. Workers spend many hours digging channels, repairing banks, and guiding water toward crops. The work requires patience. Mud clings to legs and feet. The sun reflects from wet surfaces. Tools move steadily through soil. The labor is rarely easy. Still, there is satisfaction in watching healthy crops grow. Green shoots emerge from dark earth. Weeks pass. Then months. Eventually fields become golden beneath the sunlight. Every stage requires attention. Not far away, children help with smaller tasks. Many begin learning responsibilities at a young age. Life in ancient Egypt is often centered around family labor. Everyone contributes when possible. A boy carries a basket. A girl helps gather materials. An older child watches younger siblings while parents work. Learning happens through observation. Children grow up surrounded by the routines of adulthood. They watch. They imitate. They practice. Skills pass quietly from one generation to the next. Meanwhile, the river itself is becoming busier. Fishing boats drift away from shore. Transport vessels move along established routes. The Nile serves many purposes at once. Food comes from its waters. Trade moves across its surface. Travel depends upon it. Communication follows its course. A merchant stands aboard a boat loaded with goods. Bundles of papyrus are stacked carefully nearby. Clay jars sit secured against movement. The boat catches a favorable wind. Its sail fills gently. The vessel begins moving along the river. The merchant watches the shoreline pass. Villages appear and disappear. Palm trees sway. Farmers work distant fields. Children wave from riverbanks. Life along the Nile feels connected. The river joins countless communities together. Back in town, workshops gradually fill with activity. The sounds of labor return. A carpenter examines pieces of wood. Wood is valuable in Egypt. Large forests are not common here. Many pieces must be used carefully. Nothing is wasted without reason. The carpenter studies each section before beginning. His hands know the material well. The scent of wood fills the workshop. Small curls gather on the floor as tools shape the surface. Nearby, a weaver begins another day at a loom. Threads stretch tightly before her. The work requires concentration. Hands move steadily. Patterns slowly emerge. Hours may pass while cloth grows little by little. The process is patient. The rhythm is calming. Thread crosses thread. Again and again. The workshop remains quiet except for the soft sounds of work. In another part of town, a baker tends a larger oven. The heat inside is intense. Bread must be prepared continuously. Many people rely upon local bakers. Flour dust hangs faintly in the air. Fresh loaves emerge throughout the day. The scent drifts into nearby streets. People passing by notice immediately. Bread is one of life's constants. Simple. Reliable. Familiar. The baker's day begins early and often ends late. Even before sunrise, preparations are already underway. As morning turns toward midday, the sun climbs higher. The streets become brighter. Shadows grow shorter. The heat slowly settles across every surface. Stone walls warm beneath sunlight. Dusty roads shimmer. Workers feel sweat forming once more. A servant carrying supplies wipes a hand across her forehead. A potter pauses briefly near an open doorway. A farmer straightens his back and looks toward the horizon. The heat is becoming stronger. Many workers learn to pace themselves carefully. Energy must last throughout the day. There is little value in rushing. Steady effort matters more. The landscape itself seems to slow beneath the afternoon sun. Even animals seek shade. Goats gather beside walls. Dogs rest beneath trees. Birds remain quiet during the hottest hours. People search for relief wherever they can find it. A patch of shadow. A cool breeze from the river. A drink of water. Simple comforts become precious. Near a large construction site, laborers continue their work. The sounds of stone and tools echo through the warm air. Teams cooperate closely. Some workers carry materials. Others shape stone. Others organize supplies. Every person plays a role. Many projects require years of labor. Some require decades. Workers may spend much of their lives contributing to structures they never see completed. Yet the work continues. Day after day. Season after season. Generations leave their mark through persistence rather than speed. The afternoon stretches onward. The bright sunlight softens only slightly. Across Egypt, countless ordinary tasks continue unfolding. A woman repairs clothing. A fisherman mends a torn net. A merchant records inventory. A servant sweeps dust from a floor. A farmer inspects growing crops. Each action seems small. Together they form the daily life of an entire civilization. Far from temples and palaces, most people spend their lives focused on practical concerns. Food, water, shelter, family, work, rest. These simple needs shape each day. As the sun slowly begins moving toward the western horizon, subtle changes appear. The light grows warmer. Shadows lengthen once more. The air becomes easier to breathe. Workers notice immediately. Relief approaches. The hardest hours are passing. Along the river, fishermen prepare to return home. Their boats glide across water glowing with golden reflections. Nets are gathered. Equipment is organized. The river seems calm and welcoming. The same river that supported their work now guides them home. Nearby, children play along the shoreline. Their laughter carries softly through the evening air. For a little while, the responsibilities of adulthood feel distant. The day belongs to simple joys. Parents watch from nearby. Some smile. Others continue working while keeping a careful eye on their children. Family life is woven into every corner of the Nile Valley. Few activities happen entirely alone. People live closely together. Neighbors know one another. Families often share responsibilities. Communities depend upon cooperation. As evening deepens, workers begin making their way home. Dust rises beneath countless sandals. The roads fill with tired travelers. Faces carry signs of long hours beneath the sun. Shoulders ache. Hands ache. Feet ache. Yet there is comfort in the familiar journey home. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The scent of meals drifts through the air. Voices emerge from open doorways. The village slowly transforms. Work gives way to evening. Inside one home, a family gathers for supper. The room is simple. Clay jars line a wall. Baskets rest nearby. A small lamp provides light as darkness approaches. The family shares bread together. Perhaps there are vegetables. Perhaps fish from the river. Perhaps beans or dates. The meal is not extravagant. But it is enough. After a day of labor, enough is often a blessing. People eat slowly. They talk quietly. Stories from the day are exchanged. Children describe what they have seen. Parents discuss work. The atmosphere feels warm despite the modest surroundings. Outside, the last sunlight fades from the land. The sky deepens into shades of purple and blue. The first stars appear once again. A gentle breeze moves through the village. The heat continues to fade. Workers sit outside for a while before sleeping. Some enjoy the cooler air. Others simply rest in silence. The Nile reflects starlight. Its surface glimmers softly in the darkness. Night settles across Egypt. The workshops grow quiet. The fields become still. The boats rest near shore. One by one, lamps are extinguished. Families prepare for sleep. Bodies tired from labor welcome the chance to rest. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise. Another walk to the fields. Another journey onto the river. Another day shaping clay, carrying water, baking bread, weaving cloth, or repairing tools. The cycle continues. Steady. Predictable. Ancient. And beneath the vast Egyptian sky, beside the slow-moving waters of the Nile, ordinary workers once again close their eyes while the river flows quietly through the night. The river moves quietly through the darkness. Its waters glide beneath the stars just as they did yesterday, and the day before that, and for countless years before any living worker was born. Along its banks, villages rest beneath the soft cover of night. The air is calm. A few lamps still glow faintly behind small windows. Most have already gone dark. Families sleep close together inside homes built from mud brick and patience. Thick walls hold traces of coolness gathered during the night. Outside, the desert waits in silence. A fisherman lies asleep beside a folded net. A farmer rests after many hours in the fields. A potter dreams beneath a flat roof where the night breeze occasionally drifts through. The world feels still. Yet even now, life quietly continues. The Nile never stops flowing. Reeds sway gently along the riverbanks. Insects sing their small songs in the darkness. Somewhere far away, a boat creaks softly as it rocks against a wooden post. The sounds are few. The silence between them feels wide and peaceful. Slowly, the stars begin to fade. A faint silver light appears in the east. Morning is returning. One by one, workers awaken. The process happens gradually across the valley. A mother opens her eyes and listens for a moment. A baker rises from his mat. A servant stretches tired muscles before beginning another day. The village slowly comes back to life. Doors open. Footsteps appear on dusty paths. Voices speak quietly in the cool air. The first tasks of the day begin long before the sun fully rises. Many homes start with the same routines. Water is gathered. Bread is prepared. Small cooking fires are tended carefully. Hands move through familiar motions without needing much thought. Years of repetition have made these actions almost automatic. A woman kneels beside a grinding stone. The grain must become flour. The work requires strength and patience. She pushes the stone forward. Then back. Forward again. Then back. The sound is steady. Simple. Almost rhythmic. Nearby, another woman shapes dough while speaking softly with a neighbor. Children sit close by, still waking fully from sleep. The smell of fresh bread gradually spreads through the morning air. It drifts between homes. It mixes with the scent of earth and river water. The village feels alive again. As sunlight touches the horizon, the Nile begins to glow. Golden reflections dance across the surface. Palm trees cast long shadows. Birds lift into the sky. The day is beginning. A young farmer walks beside his father toward the fields. The older man has spent decades working the land. His movements carry the quiet confidence that comes from experience. The younger man watches closely. Learning never truly stops. Even adults continue discovering small lessons from weather, soil, crops, and seasons. The field ahead stretches beside an irrigation channel. Water moves slowly through it. The channel was dug by workers. Maintained by workers. Protected by workers. Without constant attention, the system would fail. Many people think of farming as planting and harvesting. But much of the work happens in between. There are channels to repair. Tools to maintain. Animals to care for. Fields to inspect. Problems to solve. A farmer spends much of life paying attention. The smallest changes matter. A section of dry soil. A damaged embankment. Signs of insects among crops. Careful observation becomes part of daily routine. The morning hours pass gently. The air remains pleasant for a little while longer. Workers often appreciate this time of day. The sunlight is soft. The heat remains manageable. Energy feels stronger. Many tasks seem easier before midday arrives. Across the valley, craftsmen begin opening their workshops. A stoneworker enters a room already coated with fine dust from previous days. His tools wait where he left them. He picks one up and examines it briefly. Tools are valuable. They must be maintained carefully. A damaged tool can slow an entire day's work. The stoneworker settles into his routine. Hours pass as he shapes surfaces and smooths rough edges. The work requires patience. Mistakes are difficult to correct. Every movement must be deliberate. Nearby, a copper worker tends a small furnace. The heat builds steadily. Metalworking demands concentration. The worker watches carefully. He understands how materials behave. He knows when to wait. He knows when to act. His knowledge comes from years of experience. Many trades in ancient Egypt depend upon apprenticeship. Young people learn by watching skilled workers. There are few written instructions for daily tasks. Most knowledge lives inside people. A father teaches a son. A mother teaches a daughter. A master teaches an apprentice. Generation after generation, skills travel forward through memory and practice. The process is slow. Yet it is remarkably effective. As morning continues, the streets become busier. Merchants arrange goods for sale. Donkeys carry supplies through town. Customers arrive with questions and requests. A merchant carefully organizes baskets filled with produce. Nearby, another displays pottery. The market becomes a gathering place. Not only for trade. For conversation as well. People exchange news. They discuss crops. They talk about family members. They share observations about the weather. The market connects the community. Life in ancient Egypt often unfolds through personal relationships. People know one another. Faces become familiar. Names are remembered. Trust develops over many years. Business and friendship frequently overlap. The sounds of the market remain gentle. Nothing feels hurried. There is movement, certainly. But not the constant rush found in many later societies. The pace follows the rhythm of daylight and human energy. People work steadily. Then they rest. Then they continue. As the sun climbs higher, the heat begins its daily return. The change happens gradually. At first it is barely noticeable. Then workers start wiping sweat from their foreheads. Shadows shorten. Stone surfaces grow warm. The air becomes heavier. By midday, the transformation is complete. The sun dominates the sky. Its light seems to touch everything. Fields shimmer in the distance. Roads appear brighter. The landscape settles into the long afternoon. Many workers pause briefly during this time. A group of farmers sits beneath the limited shade of a tree. They eat simple food brought from home. Bread remains common. So do onions and beans. Sometimes dried fish. Sometimes dates. Meals are practical rather than elaborate. Food provides energy for labor. Nothing more is required. The workers speak quietly. They enjoy the chance to rest aching muscles. For a few moments, there are no tools to carry. No fields to tend. No walls to repair. Only shade. Food. Conversation. Then eventually the work resumes. Across the Nile, another worker faces a different challenge. A scribe sits inside a cooler room. His labor is less physical than that of farmers or builders. Yet it demands concentration. The scribe prepares writing materials carefully. Papyrus lies before him. Ink is ready nearby. Records must be maintained. Information must be organized. Ancient Egypt depends upon administration as much as labor. Grain inventories. Tax records. Work assignments. Official messages. Someone must keep track of these things. The scribe bends over his work. His hand moves steadily. Lines of writing slowly appear. Outside, the sunlight remains bright. Inside, the room feels quiet and focused. Even among ordinary workers, scribes occupy a unique position. Their work relies upon education. Years of learning are required. Not everyone can read and write. Those who can often spend long hours recording the activities that keep society functioning. The afternoon continues. The heat reaches its peak. Many workers feel tired. Bodies grow heavy. Movements become slower. The desire for evening becomes stronger. A servant carrying supplies pauses briefly near a shaded wall. A fisherman rests while repairing equipment. A laborer stretches sore shoulders. Fatigue is a familiar companion. Ancient work is demanding. Days are long. Tasks are physical. Recovery often happens overnight before the cycle begins again. Yet people adapt. Humans are remarkably capable of adjusting to routine. What might seem difficult at first eventually becomes ordinary. Workers learn how to manage their strength. They learn when to push forward. They learn when to conserve energy. The knowledge develops over a lifetime. Along the river, the afternoon sunlight creates brilliant reflections. The water sparkles. Small boats continue moving between settlements. A sailor adjusts a rope. Another watches the shoreline. The river remains central to everything. Trade. Travel. Food. Communication. The Nile connects distant communities like a thread weaving through the entire country. For many workers, the sight of the river provides comfort. It is familiar. Reliable. Always present. Children growing up along its banks cannot imagine life without it. Parents feel the same. Grandparents feel the same. The river becomes part of personal memory. Part of identity. Part of everyday existence. Eventually the sunlight begins to soften. The first signs of evening appear. Workers notice immediately. The shadows lengthen. The air becomes easier to breathe. Birds become more active. The landscape seems to relax. A builder places down his tools and straightens slowly. His back aches. His arms feel heavy. Yet there is satisfaction in finishing another day's labor. Many workers experience this feeling. The work is difficult. But it has purpose. Fields have been tended. Goods have been produced. Repairs have been completed. Tasks have moved forward. The day has not been wasted. As people begin returning home, the roads fill once again. Dust rises beneath sandals. Neighbors greet one another. Children run ahead of parents. Donkeys carry the final loads of the day. The atmosphere feels softer now. Even the sunlight seems gentler. Back in the village, evening preparations begin. Cooking fires are lit. Water jars are checked. Homes fill with familiar activity. Inside one house, a woman prepares a simple meal while children sit nearby. They speak quietly about the day. One child describes helping gather reeds. Another talks about a bird seen near the river. The stories are small. Yet they matter. Family life is built from such moments. Not great events. Not grand achievements. Simply shared experiences. The meal is ready. Everyone gathers together. Bread is passed from hand to hand. The room glows softly in the light of a small lamp. Outside, darkness gradually settles across the land. The sky deepens. Stars begin appearing overhead. The temperature continues falling. Relief spreads through the village. After a day of heat and labor, the evening feels especially pleasant. Some people sit outside for a while. They enjoy the breeze. They talk with neighbors. Others simply rest in silence. The Nile reflects the growing starlight. Its surface appears almost black now, except where moonlight touches the water. The river seems endless. Ancient. Patient. A fisherman finishes mending a net. A farmer stretches tired legs. A child slowly drifts toward sleep beside a parent. The village grows quieter. One sound disappears. Then another. Then another. The workshops are silent now. The fields rest beneath darkness. The boats remain tied safely along the shore. The day's work is over. Families prepare for sleep. Bodies settle onto woven mats. Lamps are extinguished. Rooms grow dark. Outside, the stars shine brightly above the Nile Valley. The river continues its journey through the night. And all across ancient Egypt, ordinary workers surrender themselves once more to rest, gathering strength for another sunrise waiting patiently beyond the horizon. The stars remain above the Nile. They shine with a quiet steadiness that seems unchanged from generation to generation. Long before today's workers were born, these same stars watched over farmers tending fields beside the river. Long after they are gone, the stars will continue their slow journey across the night sky. For now, the villages of Egypt rest beneath them. The air feels gentle. A coolness lingers that will not last forever. Soon the sun will return. Soon another day of labor will begin. But during these peaceful hours before dawn, the land belongs to silence. The Nile glides through the darkness. Water brushes softly against reeds growing along the shore. Palm leaves rustle in the breeze. The sounds are small and distant. A sleeping village barely notices them. Inside a modest home, a worker shifts beneath a light linen covering. His muscles still carry the memory of yesterday's labor. Years of physical work leave their mark on the body. Strong shoulders. Rough hands. A back that aches after long days. Ancient Egyptian workers rarely experience complete rest from labor. Their lives are built around effort. Yet they also develop remarkable endurance. Bodies adapt. Routines become familiar. Challenges that might seem overwhelming to an outsider become ordinary parts of daily life. As the eastern horizon slowly brightens, movement begins once more. A rooster calls. A dog barks briefly. A door opens somewhere in the village. The first workers are awake. Morning arrives gradually. The darkness retreats little by little. Shadows soften. Shapes become clearer. The outlines of homes appear against the growing light. Soon the familiar rhythm begins again. Water is carried. Bread is prepared. Tools are gathered. The village awakens. A woman walks toward the river carrying empty jars. The path beneath her sandals feels cool. For now. She knows the earth will become warm later. Then hot. The cycle repeats every day. The river greets her with its usual calmness. The surface reflects the colors of dawn. Soft gold. Pale pink. Gentle silver. For a moment, she pauses. Many workers spend their lives close to the Nile. Even after years of seeing it every day, the river remains beautiful. Its presence is comforting. Predictable. Reliable. The water gathered, she begins the journey home. Nearby, fishermen are preparing their boats. Their work often starts early. The best hours can come before the full heat of the day arrives. A fisherman checks the condition of his net. His fingers move carefully across the fibers. A small tear is discovered. He repairs it immediately. Experience has taught him the importance of preparation. Small problems become larger problems if ignored. Soon the boat pushes away from shore. The water ripples gently. The village slowly recedes behind him. Ahead lies another day upon the river. As sunlight spreads across the valley, farmers once again arrive at their fields. The fertile land beside the Nile appears rich and dark. Compared to the surrounding desert, it feels almost miraculous. Beyond the cultivated fields lies a world of sand and stone. But here, close to the river, life flourishes. The fields demand constant attention. Workers inspect crops carefully. Some plants are thriving. Others require more water. A farmer kneels to examine the soil. His hands press gently against the earth. Years of experience allow him to notice details that others might overlook. The texture. The moisture. The condition of young plants. Knowledge accumulates slowly over a lifetime. Not through books. Not through formal lessons. Through observation. Through repetition. Through countless days spent beneath the Egyptian sun. The morning remains pleasant for a while. Workers appreciate these early hours. Energy feels stronger. The air feels lighter. Tasks seem easier. A group of laborers repairs an irrigation channel damaged by recent water flow. Mud is moved. Edges are reinforced. Water must travel where it is needed. Without proper irrigation, crops suffer. Entire communities depend upon these systems functioning well. The work is not glamorous. Few people would celebrate the repair of a channel. Yet such work is essential. Many of the most important tasks in history happen quietly. Performed by ordinary people. Completed without recognition. Repeated again and again. As the day progresses, activity spreads throughout nearby towns. Workshops open their doors. Markets become busy. The sounds of labor return. A basket maker settles into his workspace. Bundles of reeds lie nearby. His hands begin weaving them together. The movements appear simple. Yet they require practice. Each reed must be placed correctly. The basket slowly takes shape. Hour after hour, patient hands transform natural materials into useful objects. Across town, a potter begins firing vessels created days earlier. The kiln radiates heat. The air nearby grows warm. Clay jars stand waiting inside. If everything goes well, they will emerge hardened and ready for use. If something goes wrong, days of work may be lost. The potter watches carefully. Patience is one of the most valuable skills in ancient Egypt. Many processes cannot be rushed. Bread must bake. Clay must dry. Crops must grow. Boats must travel. Workers learn to respect the pace of the world around them. Near the market, merchants begin arranging goods. Baskets of produce appear. Pottery is displayed. Bundles of papyrus are stacked neatly. People arrive throughout the morning. Some come to trade. Others come to gather information. Markets serve many purposes. News travels through conversations. Stories move from person to person. People learn about distant relatives, upcoming events, and changing conditions along the river. The marketplace becomes a center of community life. Voices rise and fall. Laughter appears occasionally. Children weave through the crowd. Donkeys carry loads between stalls. The atmosphere feels lively without becoming overwhelming. The pace remains steady. Unhurried. Natural. Not far away, a young apprentice works beside an experienced craftsman. The apprentice watches closely. Every movement matters. Every lesson carries value. He learns how to hold tools. How to judge materials. How to avoid mistakes. Some lessons are spoken aloud. Others are demonstrated silently. Learning often happens through observation. A young worker studies not only what the master does, but how he does it. Patience. Care. Attention. These qualities matter as much as technical skill. The hours pass. The sun climbs higher. Heat begins spreading across the valley once more. Workers feel the change gradually. The pleasant coolness of morning fades. Sweat appears. Shadows shrink. The brightness becomes intense. Stone walls radiate warmth. Roads shimmer beneath sunlight. By midday, much of Egypt seems wrapped in heat. Workers adjust accordingly. Some seek temporary shade. Others slow their pace slightly. A farmer drinks water and rests briefly beneath a tree. Nearby, laborers gather for a meal. Bread is shared. Conversation remains calm. People speak about practical matters. Crops. Families. Work. The simple subjects that fill most human lives. Meals often provide more than nourishment. They offer moments of connection. A chance to sit together. A chance to pause. A chance to recover before continuing. Afterward, work resumes. The afternoon stretches ahead. A scribe sits cross-legged in a shaded room. Outside, the sunlight remains harsh. Inside, conditions are more comfortable. His work requires concentration rather than physical strength. He carefully records information onto papyrus. Grain deliveries. Storage amounts. Work assignments. Many ordinary workers may never learn to read. Yet the records maintained by scribes help organize the world around them. The writing flows steadily across the page. The room remains quiet. Occasionally the scribe pauses to review what has already been written. Then he continues. Elsewhere, servants move through larger households completing daily tasks. Water is carried. Floors are swept. Food is prepared. Supplies are organized. Many responsibilities remain largely invisible. Yet households depend upon them. A great deal of work throughout history happens behind the scenes. Quiet labor. Necessary labor. Labor that receives little attention. As the afternoon continues, fatigue settles over the land. Workers feel it in different ways. A builder rubs sore shoulders. A fisherman stretches stiff fingers. A farmer straightens slowly after hours spent bending over crops. Bodies grow tired. This is normal. Ancient Egyptian workers become familiar with exhaustion. Not dramatic exhaustion. Not sudden collapse. Simply the steady tiredness that follows long days of effort. The kind of tiredness that makes evening feel especially welcome. The sunlight begins changing. Almost imperceptibly at first. Then more noticeably. The harsh brightness softens. The air cools slightly. Birds become more active again. The landscape seems to breathe easier. Workers notice. Conversations become lighter. The end of the workday approaches. Along the river, boats begin returning home. The water glows beneath the lowering sun. Golden reflections stretch across the surface. A fisherman guides his vessel toward shore. The day has been productive. Fish lie secured within baskets. Tomorrow he will return again. The river has shaped his life since childhood. He understands its moods. Its currents. Its seasons. Its gifts. As evening arrives, families gather once more. Children run through dusty streets before being called home. Cooking fires appear. The smell of food drifts through the village. Neighbors exchange greetings. The atmosphere feels warm and familiar. Inside one home, a family sits together near the entrance where cooler air can still enter. The day's work is discussed. Not in great detail. Simply the ordinary observations of ordinary people. A repaired channel. A successful catch. A tool that needs replacement. A neighbor who stopped by the market. Life unfolds through these small moments. One after another. Day after day. Year after year. Outside, darkness gradually settles across the Nile Valley. The stars return. The river reflects their light. The village grows quieter. Workers finish final tasks before sleep. A net is folded. A tool is stored. A jar is covered. Simple actions marking the end of another day. Soon lamps begin disappearing one by one. Homes grow dark. Voices fade. Children fall asleep first. Adults follow later. The cool night air drifts gently through narrow streets. The Nile continues flowing beneath the stars. Patient. Endless. Calm. And across ancient Egypt, countless workers rest once more, their tired bodies surrendering to sleep while the ancient river carries the night softly toward another dawn. Night settles deeply across the Nile Valley. The villages are quiet now. Most lamps have been extinguished, and only a few small points of light remain visible through doorways and windows. Above, the stars spread across the sky in countless numbers. They shine over the river, over the fields, over the workshops, and over the sleeping homes of workers whose lives follow the steady rhythm of the land. The Nile flows through the darkness without sound loud enough to disturb anyone. Its waters move patiently. The river has seen generations come and go. Children become adults. Adults become elders. Elders pass into memory. Yet the Nile continues. For the people of ancient Egypt, that quiet certainty brings comfort. A farmer sleeping beside his family does not need to wonder whether the river will be there in the morning. It always is. Inside his modest home, the air feels cooler than it did during the day. The thick mud brick walls have absorbed some of the sun's heat, but the night breeze offers relief. His hands are rough from years of labor. Small scars mark his skin. His muscles ache slightly even while he sleeps. Such discomfort has become familiar. Not alarming. Not unusual. Simply part of life. Nearby, his youngest child sleeps peacefully. The child is still too young for many responsibilities. For now, the days are filled mostly with observation. Watching parents work. Watching older siblings help. Watching neighbors move through their routines. Slowly, without realizing it, the child is learning how life works in this ancient land. Knowledge arrives quietly. A lesson about planting. A lesson about weather. A lesson about animals. A lesson about kindness. No formal classroom is needed for many of these things. Life itself becomes the teacher. As the night continues, a cool breeze drifts over the riverbanks. Palm leaves rustle softly. Reeds bend and straighten. The darkness feels peaceful rather than empty. Nature remains awake even while most people sleep. Small creatures move through the grass. Birds shift among branches. The river continues its endless journey. Eventually, the eastern horizon begins to lighten. The stars fade one by one. A pale glow appears far away. Another day is approaching. The village slowly wakes. The first sounds are quiet. A door creaks open. Footsteps cross a dirt floor. Someone coughs softly. Then more sounds join. The familiar music of morning begins once again. A woman rises before the rest of her household. She steps outside and looks toward the brightening sky. The air feels fresh. This is often one of the most pleasant moments of the entire day. The heat has not yet arrived. The village remains calm. The world feels unhurried. Soon she begins preparing food. The daily process starts once more. Grain is brought forward. Grinding stones are positioned. Hands begin their work. The scraping sound of stone against grain echoes softly through the village. Other households are doing the same thing. The sound appears from one home. Then another. Then another. A shared rhythm spreads through the settlement. Morning in ancient Egypt often begins this way. With effort. With preparation. With simple tasks that support everything else. As bread begins baking, warm scents drift into the cool air. The smell reaches nearby pathways. Workers heading toward the fields notice it as they pass. For a moment, it adds comfort to the start of the day. Soon the first sunlight touches the Nile. The river glows softly. Golden reflections spread across the water. Fishing boats become visible along the shore. Farmers begin gathering tools. Merchants prepare for another day of trade. The valley comes alive. A group of workers walks together toward distant fields. Dust rises beneath their sandals. The road feels familiar. Most have traveled it thousands of times. They know every bend. Every tree. Every irrigation channel. Every landmark. Routine creates a deep connection to place. The landscape becomes part of memory. Part of identity. The workers reach their fields just as sunlight spreads fully across the land. The crops appear healthy. Green leaves move gently in the morning breeze. For a moment, the scene feels almost peaceful enough to forget the labor ahead. Then work begins. Some farmers inspect irrigation channels. Others remove weeds. Others prepare sections of soil for future planting. The tasks vary. The effort remains constant. Hours pass quietly. The morning sun climbs higher. Birds move between fields searching for food. Insects buzz among growing plants. The smell of earth rises from freshly watered ground. Workers focus on their tasks. The rhythm of labor settles over the landscape. Not far away, a group of laborers repairs part of a storage building. Mud bricks must occasionally be replaced. Walls require maintenance. Structures need care if they are to endure. The workers mix mud carefully. Water is added. Straw is included. The material is shaped and applied. Their hands become coated with wet earth. The work is messy but necessary. Ancient buildings require constant attention. Even the strongest walls eventually show signs of age. Maintenance becomes another ordinary part of life. Nearby, a donkey carries supplies along a dusty path. Its pace is slow and steady. The animal knows the route well. Many workers depend upon animals to help transport goods. Heavy loads become easier to manage. Travel becomes more efficient. The relationship between people and animals is woven into daily existence. As morning moves toward midday, the heat begins to strengthen. The change is gradual but unavoidable. Shadows shorten. Stone surfaces warm beneath the sun. The air feels heavier. Workers glance occasionally toward patches of shade. Everyone knows what is coming. The hottest hours of the day. At the river, fishermen continue their work. A boat drifts quietly across calm water. The surface reflects the bright sky above. A fisherman carefully examines his net. Patience is essential. Fishing often involves waiting, observing, trusting experience. Not every moment produces results. The river rewards persistence. Years of practice teach where fish are likely to gather. Subtle signs become meaningful. A ripple. A movement beneath the surface. A change in current. Knowledge accumulates slowly through observation. The fisherman has spent much of his life learning these lessons. Now they guide him without conscious effort. Meanwhile, in a nearby town, craftsmen work steadily inside workshops. A maker of sandals sits near an open doorway where some air can circulate. Leather rests beside him. Tools lie arranged nearby. His hands move with practiced precision. Piece by piece, another pair of sandals takes shape. The work requires attention. Every measurement matters. A poorly made sandal may not survive long under harsh conditions. Many workers walk great distances throughout their lives. Strong footwear is valuable. Across the street, a maker of baskets continues weaving reeds. The repetitive motion feels almost meditative. Hands move. Pause. Adjust. Continue. The basket slowly grows larger. The process cannot be rushed. Each section supports the next. Like many ancient crafts, success depends upon patience. The town hums quietly with activity. Voices rise from the marketplace. Tools tap against wood. Animals move through narrow streets. The sounds blend together into a gentle background rhythm. Nothing feels chaotic. Everything moves according to familiar patterns. By midday, the sun dominates the sky. Heat spreads across the valley. Workers search for relief wherever they can find it. Shade beneath a tree. A cool drink of water. A brief rest beside a wall. Simple comforts become important. A group of farmers gathers beneath a patch of shade near an irrigation channel. They sit together while eating a modest meal. Bread is shared. A few vegetables are passed around. Someone tells a story about a stubborn donkey. Others smile quietly. The conversation remains relaxed. These moments matter. Work fills much of life. Yet people still find opportunities for connection. Friendship develops through shared labor. Trust grows through years of working side by side. Many workers spend more time with fellow laborers than with anyone else outside their families. The bonds become strong. After the meal, everyone returns to work. The afternoon stretches ahead. The heat lingers. Fatigue begins to settle into muscles and joints. A laborer carrying supplies adjusts the load on his shoulder. A builder pauses briefly before lifting another stone. A servant wipes sweat from her forehead. No one is surprised by the tiredness. It arrives every day. The goal is not to avoid it. The goal is simply to continue. Steadily. Patiently. One task after another. Far above, birds circle lazily in the warm air. Along the Nile, reeds sway beside the water. The landscape itself seems to move more slowly during these hours. Then, little by little, afternoon begins giving way to evening. The sunlight softens. The shadows lengthen. The first hints of relief appear. Workers notice immediately. Movements become lighter. Conversations become more frequent. The end of the day is approaching. A farmer looks across the fields. The crops glow beneath golden sunlight. For a moment, he simply stands and observes. The view is familiar. Yet it never feels entirely ordinary. The land that demands so much effort also provides life. The relationship runs deep. Soon tools are gathered. Tasks are completed. The journey home begins. Dusty roads fill with returning workers. Families reunite. Cooking fires appear. The scent of evening meals drifts through the village. Children run to greet parents. Neighbors exchange news from the day. The atmosphere feels warm and welcoming. Inside one home, a lamp flickers gently against the wall. A family gathers around a simple meal. Bread. Vegetables. Perhaps some fish. The food is not elaborate. Yet after a long day of labor, it feels satisfying. Conversation flows quietly. Stories are exchanged. Laughter appears occasionally. The day's burdens begin to fade. Outside, darkness gradually returns to the Nile Valley. The stars emerge once more. The river reflects their light. The village grows quieter with each passing hour. Workers prepare for sleep. Tools are stored. Doors are secured. Children drift into dreams. Adults soon follow. The cool night air moves softly through narrow streets. And beside the ancient waters of the Nile, ordinary workers once again surrender to rest, while the river continues its patient journey beneath the endless stars. The Nile drifts quietly through the darkness. Its waters carry the reflections of distant stars, turning the surface of the river into a slow-moving ribbon of silver light. Along its banks, the villages of ancient Egypt rest peacefully beneath the night sky. The day's labor has ended. Fields are silent. Workshops are dark. Market stalls stand empty. The roads that only hours ago were filled with workers and animals now lie still beneath the moonlight. A gentle breeze moves through the reeds. Palm branches sway softly. The sounds of the night remain small and comforting. Inside a mud-brick home near the river, a family sleeps close together. The room is simple. A few clay jars stand against the wall. Baskets rest in one corner. A small lamp has long since gone dark. The family owns little by modern standards, but nearly everything inside the home serves a purpose. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is kept without reason. Life encourages practicality. Objects are valued because they help people live, work, cook, build, carry, or store. Many workers spend years caring for the same tools and possessions. A well-made basket. A sturdy knife. A dependable fishing net. Such things become trusted companions through daily life. Outside, the stars slowly move across the sky. Hours pass. The night grows deeper. Then, gradually, morning begins its quiet return. The eastern horizon brightens with the faintest touch of light. The darkness softens. Shapes emerge from shadow. The Nile becomes visible once again. A bird calls from somewhere among the reeds. Another answers. Soon the village begins to wake. The first workers rise before sunrise. Many prefer these early hours. The air feels cooler. The world feels calmer. The heat has not yet begun its daily climb. A baker is among the first to awaken. His day often starts while others still sleep. Bread must be ready when families begin their morning meals. He steps into his workspace and begins preparing flour. The process is familiar. His hands know every movement. Years of repetition have turned the work into a steady rhythm. Soon a small fire begins to glow. Warm light flickers across the walls. The scent of baking bread gradually fills the air. Elsewhere, a woman prepares water for her household. She lifts a clay jar and steps outside. The village is only beginning to stir. A few neighbors are already awake. Quiet greetings are exchanged. There is comfort in these familiar faces. The same people. The same paths. The same routines. Day after day. Year after year. Life moves forward through repetition. Many workers find stability within these patterns. The Nile itself follows patterns. The seasons follow patterns. The sun rises and sets according to patterns. Ancient Egyptians become deeply connected to these cycles. Their lives depend upon understanding them. As dawn spreads across the valley, farmers begin their walk toward the fields. The road feels cool beneath their sandals. The air carries the scent of damp earth from irrigation channels. Ahead, the fields stretch across the fertile land beside the river. The crops wait. The work waits. Another day is beginning. One farmer pauses briefly as he reaches the edge of his field. He studies the land. The sunlight is just beginning to touch the tops of the plants. Tiny drops of moisture cling to leaves. Birds move between rows searching for food. For a moment, everything feels peaceful. Then labor begins. Some workers inspect irrigation systems. Others clear unwanted growth. Others prepare sections of land for future planting. The tasks are not dramatic. Most are repetitive. Yet repetition is the foundation of agriculture. Success comes from consistency. Small efforts performed again and again. The farmer understands this. He does not expect quick rewards. He works steadily. Patiently. The land responds over time. Across the valley, fishermen push their boats into the river. Wood creaks softly. Water ripples outward. The Nile welcomes another day of activity. A fisherman settles into position and begins rowing. The river feels familiar beneath him. He knows its currents. He knows where the fish often gather. He knows how the river changes throughout the year. Such knowledge is earned slowly. No single day teaches everything. Experience accumulates over decades. Each season adds another layer of understanding. The boat glides across calm water. The shoreline slowly drifts past. Palm trees stand reflected on the surface. The morning sun climbs higher. The fisherman casts his net. The motion is smooth and practiced. The net spreads wide before settling into the river. Then comes waiting. Fishing often involves patience. Many ancient occupations do. Workers learn to accept waiting as part of life. Nature moves at its own pace. The river decides when fish will appear. The fields decide when crops will grow. The seasons decide when harvests will come. Patience becomes a valuable skill. In a nearby town, craftsmen begin opening their workshops. The sounds of labor return once more. A carpenter examines pieces of wood stacked against a wall. Wood remains a valuable material. Every piece is used carefully. The carpenter studies each section before beginning work. He knows where to cut, where to shape, where to preserve strength. His hands move confidently. The scent of fresh wood fills the room. Nearby, a weaver prepares threads for another day at the loom. The work requires concentration. Thread crosses thread. Again. Then again. Patterns slowly emerge. Hours pass through repetition. Yet there is beauty in the process. The gradual transformation of simple materials into something useful. The weaver understands that good work cannot be rushed. Care produces quality. Patience produces durability. The lesson appears throughout ancient life. The morning grows brighter. The marketplace begins filling with activity. Merchants arrange goods. Customers arrive. Conversations begin. The market is more than a place of trade. It is a place where people connect. News travels quickly here. A traveler arriving from another settlement may carry stories from distant parts of Egypt. A merchant may share information gathered during recent journeys. A farmer may discuss changing conditions along the river. People listen. Ask questions. Exchange observations. The marketplace becomes a living network of information. Children often accompany adults through these busy areas. Their eyes wander from stall to stall. Everything seems interesting. Pottery. Cloth. Tools. Baskets. Food. Animals. The world feels large when viewed through the eyes of a child. Every day offers something new to notice. As the sun continues rising, the temperature slowly increases. Workers feel the familiar change. The morning coolness begins fading. Stone walls warm beneath sunlight. Roads become brighter. The air grows heavier. People adjust naturally. They have experienced this pattern countless times before. A group of builders works near a construction site. Stone blocks rest nearby. Tools lie arranged in the shade. The labor is demanding. Lifting. Carrying. Positioning. Shaping. Every movement requires effort. Yet the workers move with coordination. Years of experience have taught them how to work together. One person alone can accomplish little with a large stone. Several workers cooperating can achieve much more. Teamwork becomes essential. Many ancient projects depend upon collective effort. The workers communicate through brief words and gestures. Everyone understands their role. The stone slowly moves into place. Another small step forward. Many great structures rise through countless small steps. Not sudden miracles. Not dramatic moments. Just steady labor repeated over long periods of time. The afternoon arrives. The heat settles across the valley. Shadows become short. The sunlight feels powerful. Workers seek opportunities to rest. A fisherman pulls his boat beneath a patch of shade near the riverbank. A farmer sits beside an irrigation channel and drinks water. A craftsman pauses near an open doorway where a breeze occasionally passes through. The rest is temporary. But it matters. The body needs moments of recovery. Muscles need relief. Energy needs replenishment. Nearby, a group of workers shares a simple meal. Bread remains the center of the meal. It appears day after day. Reliable. Familiar. Comforting. Some vegetables accompany it. Perhaps beans. Perhaps onions. The meal is modest. Yet it provides what is needed. Conversation drifts gently between subjects. Family. Work. Weather. The river. Ordinary topics filling ordinary lives. No one rushes. The heat itself encourages a slower pace. Eventually the meal ends. Work resumes. The afternoon stretches onward. A servant carries supplies between buildings. A potter checks vessels drying in the sun. A merchant updates records of recent sales. A scribe carefully writes information onto papyrus. Everywhere, people continue their tasks. Thousands of small efforts combine into the daily life of ancient Egypt. The hours pass. Gradually, the sunlight begins to soften. The first signs of evening appear. Workers notice immediately. The air feels lighter. Shadows lengthen across the ground. Birds become more active. The landscape seems to relax. Relief spreads quietly through the valley. The hardest part of the day is ending. A farmer gathers his tools. A fisherman secures his catch. A craftsman cleans his workspace. The journey home begins. Roads fill with familiar faces. Dust rises beneath sandals. Neighbors exchange greetings. Children run through the fading sunlight. The atmosphere feels peaceful, warm, comforting. Cooking fires begin appearing throughout the village. The smell of evening meals drifts through the air. Families gather once again. Inside homes, conversations flow quietly. The day's work is discussed. Plans for tomorrow are considered. Stories are shared. Simple moments create strong bonds. Much of life unfolds around these evening gatherings. Not in palaces. Not in temples. But inside ordinary homes filled with ordinary people. Outside, darkness gradually returns. The stars emerge above the Nile. Their reflections shimmer across the water. The river glows softly beneath the moonlight. One by one, lamps are extinguished. Voices fade. Doors close. The village settles into sleep. The fields rest. The boats rest. The workshops rest. The workers rest. And through it all, the Nile continues its timeless journey beneath the stars, carrying the quiet night gently through the heart of ancient Egypt. The night deepens over the Nile Valley. Moonlight rests softly upon the water, turning parts of the river into ribbons of pale silver. The reeds along the banks sway gently whenever a breeze drifts through. Far beyond the fertile fields, the desert remains silent beneath the stars. The villages sleep. Inside their mud-brick homes, workers rest after another long day. A fisherman lies beside a rolled net. A farmer sleeps with tired hands folded across his chest. A potter dreams beneath a roof that still holds a little warmth from the sun. Throughout the valley, thousands of ordinary people surrender themselves to sleep. Their bodies welcome the rest. Labor fills most days. Rest becomes precious. The hours of darkness pass quietly. The Nile continues its steady journey. A boat tied to a wooden post rocks gently against the shore. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls once before silence returns. The night feels peaceful. Nothing demands attention. Nothing needs to be rushed. For a little while, the workers of Egypt are free from responsibility. Then, slowly, morning begins to arrive once more. The stars fade. The eastern sky grows pale. The first light spreads across the horizon. Birds awaken among palm trees and reeds. The village stirs. A door opens. Footsteps cross a dirt floor. Someone begins preparing a morning fire. Another day is ready to begin. A woman rises before sunrise and steps outside her home. The air feels cool against her skin. She pauses for a moment. The village is still mostly quiet. This brief time before the day's work begins often feels special. The world seems calm. The river seems calm. Even the wind moves softly. Soon she begins gathering water. The clay jar rests against her shoulder. Its weight is familiar. She has carried similar jars countless times before. Like many daily tasks, the work has become part of her rhythm. Not exciting. Not unpleasant. Simply necessary. As she walks, she passes neighbors beginning their own routines. Some prepare food. Others gather tools. Others sweep the areas around their homes. Life unfolds through countless small actions. Together, they create the morning. The scent of bread soon drifts through the village. Ovens warm. Dough bakes. Families prepare simple meals before work begins. Bread remains at the center of daily life. Workers carry it into the fields. Fishermen take it onto boats. Children eat it before helping with chores. Its presence is constant. Reliable. Comforting. As sunlight reaches the Nile, the river awakens alongside the villages. Boats begin moving. Their reflections ripple across the water. The surface glows with shades of gold and pale blue. For many workers, the river is the first thing they see every morning. Its presence shapes their entire world. A young fisherman pushes his small boat away from shore. The water parts quietly around the hull. He settles into position and begins rowing. The motion feels natural. Years of practice have made it effortless. The river carries familiar scents. Fresh water. Wet reeds. Mud from the riverbank. These smells become part of memory. Part of home. Part of everyday life. Nearby, farmers make their way toward the fields. The roads are already becoming busy. Workers walk in small groups. Conversations drip through the cool air. Many discuss practical concerns. The condition of crops. The amount of water available. Repairs that need attention. Plans for the coming days. The subjects may seem simple. Yet they matter deeply. A successful harvest affects entire families. The health of irrigation channels affects entire communities. Ordinary concerns often carry great importance. The farmers arrive at their fields. Morning sunlight stretches across the land. The crops appear vibrant. Green leaves catch the light. The soil remains dark and fertile. The Nile has once again provided life. Work begins. One farmer examines an irrigation channel running beside the field. The flow appears steady. Water moves where it should. The sight brings quiet satisfaction. Many agricultural tasks involve maintenance rather than planting or harvesting. Success depends upon care. Daily attention. Small corrections made before problems become serious. The farmer understands this well. He notices details that others might miss. A slight change in water flow. A weak section of soil. Signs that plants require more attention. Years of experience sharpen observation. Knowledge becomes almost instinctive. As the morning advances, the valley fills with activity. Workshops open their doors. Markets come alive. The sounds of labor spread through towns and villages. A maker of pottery prepares fresh clay. His hands press into the cool material. The texture feels familiar. Comforting, even. He has worked with clay for most of his life. His father worked with clay before him. The craft connects generations. The potter places a lump of clay upon a wheel. The wheel begins turning. Slowly, a shape emerges. A bowl. A jar. A storage vessel. Something useful. His hands guide every movement. Years of practice allow him to work almost without thinking. Nearby, another craftsman repairs wooden furniture. His tools move carefully across the surface. Each cut is deliberate. Each adjustment serves a purpose. Ancient workers often become specialists. They spend years mastering a single skill. The knowledge becomes deeply rooted. A carpenter sees details in wood that others overlook. A potter understands clay. A fisherman understands water. A farmer understands soil. Experience transforms ordinary materials into familiar companions. The market grows busier as the morning continues. Merchants arrange goods beneath simple shelters. Baskets filled with vegetables appear. Pottery catches the sunlight. Bundles of reeds wait to be sold. Customers move from stall to stall. Some purchase necessities. Others simply gather information and conversation. The market serves as a social center. People meet friends. Exchange news. Discuss family matters. Share observations about the river and the weather. Information spreads through human connection. Not through written announcements. Not through distant messages. Through conversation. Face to face. Neighbor to neighbor. As the sun climbs higher, the temperature begins rising. The cool comfort of morning slowly disappears. Workers feel sweat forming. Stone walls absorb heat. The roads grow brighter. The familiar challenge of the day returns. The Egyptian sun becomes stronger. A group of builders works near a large construction project. The labor requires coordination. Stone blocks must be moved carefully. Tools must be maintained. Measurements must remain accurate. The workers understand the importance of patience. Mistakes create more work later. Steady progress matters more than speed. The builders move deliberately. One task at a time. One stone at a time. The structure gradually rises. Many workers spend years contributing to projects larger than themselves. Their names may never be recorded. Yet their labor becomes part of the landscape. Part of history. Part of the world future generations will inherit. The afternoon arrives. Heat settles heavily across the valley. The sunlight seems almost motionless. The air shimmers above roads and fields. Workers slow their pace slightly. They conserve energy. A fisherman rests beneath a small patch of shade near the riverbank. His boat rocks gently beside him. The sound of water touching wood feels soothing. Nearby, farmers sit together during a brief meal. Bread is shared. Water is passed around. Conversation remains relaxed. The break offers more than food. It offers companionship. Many friendships grow through shared labor. People work together for years. Sometimes for decades. They witness one another's lives unfolding. Children are born. Families grow. Parents age. Life changes slowly. The friendships remain. After resting, the workers return to their tasks. The afternoon continues. A servant carries supplies across a courtyard. A weaver sits at a loom. A merchant organizes inventory. A scribe records information onto papyrus. Across Egypt, countless ordinary jobs continue simultaneously. Each worker contributes something. Food. Tools. Clothing. Transportation. Shelter. Records. No single role stands alone. Everything is connected. The civilization depends upon cooperation. As the sun begins its gradual descent, the atmosphere changes. The brightness softens. Shadows stretch longer. A gentle sense of relief spreads across the land. Workers notice immediately. Even animals seem more comfortable. Birds become active again. Goats wander from shaded areas. The landscape feels alive in a different way. The hardest hours have passed. A farmer finishes his final task of the day and stands quietly for a moment. He looks across the fields. The crops sway gently in the evening breeze. Golden sunlight covers the land. The scene feels peaceful. The labor has been difficult. But there is satisfaction in seeing the results. Work leaves visible traces. Healthy crops. Maintained channels. Repaired structures. Useful goods. These things matter. Soon the journey home begins. Roads fill with returning workers. Dust rises softly beneath their sandals. Children appear from homes and pathways. Some run toward parents. Others play briefly before darkness arrives. Cooking fires begin to glow throughout the village. The scent of food spreads through the evening air. The atmosphere becomes warm and welcoming. Inside a small home near the river, a family gathers for supper. A lamp flickers against the wall. The room feels cozy despite its simplicity. Bread is shared. Vegetables are passed around. Conversation flows naturally. The day's events are discussed. Nothing dramatic. Nothing extraordinary. Simply the ordinary moments that make up ordinary lives. And yet these moments are the foundation of everything. History often remembers monuments. But life happens around tables. Around cooking fires. Around conversations between family members at the end of a long day. Outside, darkness slowly settles across the Nile Valley once more. The stars return. The river reflects their light. Voices fade. The village grows quiet. One by one, lamps disappear into darkness. Workers stretch tired muscles and prepare for sleep. Tomorrow will bring another sunrise. Another walk to the fields. Another journey onto the river. Another day shaping clay, carrying water, weaving cloth, building walls, baking bread, and tending crops. For now, there is only the night. The cool breeze. The distant sound of water. The comfort of rest. And beneath the endless stars of ancient Egypt, the workers close their eyes once more while the Nile carries the darkness gently toward a new dawn. The Nile continues its slow journey through the sleeping land. Its waters move quietly beneath the stars, reflecting small points of light from the sky above. Along the riverbanks, the villages rest in peaceful silence. The busy sounds of labor have disappeared for the night. No tools strike stone. No merchants call from market stalls. No farmers walk dusty roads. Only the gentle sounds of nature remain. A breeze moves through palm leaves. Reeds whisper beside the water. The river flows onward. Inside the homes scattered along the Nile Valley, workers sleep deeply. Their bodies have earned the rest. Every day asks something from them. Strength. Patience. Endurance. Attention. The labor may differ from one person to another, but effort fills nearly every life. A fisherman dreams beside his folded net. A weaver rests after long hours at the loom. A servant sleeps soundly after carrying water and supplies throughout the day. All across Egypt, ordinary people recover from ordinary work. The night belongs to them. The stars slowly drift westward. Hours pass. Then the first pale light of morning appears once again. The darkness begins to loosen its grip on the land. A faint glow touches the horizon. The Nile becomes visible. The outlines of trees emerge. The shapes of homes return. Morning is arriving. As always, the awakening happens gradually. One household stirs. Then another. Then another. The village slowly returns to life. A woman steps outside carrying a broom made from bundled reeds. She begins sweeping the ground around her doorway. The task is simple. Yet it is part of maintaining a comfortable home. Many daily responsibilities involve small acts of care. Cleaning. Repairing. Organizing. Maintaining. These tasks rarely attract attention, yet they help shape everyday life. Nearby, a family begins preparing breakfast. The familiar scent of bread soon spreads through the air. Warm ovens glow. Hands shape dough. The process feels timeless. Children sit nearby watching. They have seen these routines many times before. One day they will perform them themselves. Knowledge travels quietly through observation. Not every lesson requires words. Many are learned simply by being present. As dawn expands across the valley, workers begin gathering for another day. A farmer lifts his tools and starts walking toward the fields. The cool morning air feels pleasant. He appreciates these moments before the heat arrives. The road ahead follows familiar paths. Every stone, every tree, every bend in the trail is known to him. He has walked this route for years. Perhaps for decades. Routine creates a strong sense of place. The land becomes woven into memory. When he reaches the fields, the crops are waiting. Morning light settles gently across the plants. Small birds hop between rows. The irrigation channels reflect the brightening sky. For a few moments, the scene feels calm and still. Then work begins. The farmer inspects the condition of the soil. He checks the water flow. He examines the crops carefully. Ancient farming requires constant observation. The land speaks through small signs. A healthy leaf. A dry patch of ground. A damaged channel. An experienced farmer learns to notice everything. Nearby, another group of workers repairs part of an irrigation system. Mud is shaped. Water flow is redirected. Edges are reinforced. The work requires cooperation. One person alone can accomplish only so much. Together, the workers complete tasks more efficiently. Much of life along the Nile depends upon cooperation. Families cooperate. Neighbors cooperate. Workers cooperate. Entire communities depend upon shared effort. Without cooperation, many necessary tasks would become impossible. As the sun rises higher, activity spreads across towns and villages. Markets begin opening. Workshops become busy. Boats appear on the river. The familiar rhythm of daily life returns. A boat builder stands beside a vessel under construction. The smell of wood surrounds him. His hands move carefully across the surface. Every measurement matters. A poorly built boat could fail when needed most. The builder understands this responsibility. He works slowly. Patiently. His skill has been shaped through years of practice. Nearby, another craftsman repairs fishing equipment. The fibers of a net pass through his fingers. Small tears are mended. Weak sections are strengthened. The work may seem repetitive. Yet every repair extends the life of the net. Every repair saves future labor. Ancient workers often spend considerable time maintaining their tools. Good tools are valuable. Replacing them is not always easy. Care becomes an important habit. As morning advances, the marketplace becomes increasingly active. Merchants arrange goods beneath simple coverings that provide shade. Customers arrive carrying baskets. Conversations fill the air. The market serves as both workplace and meeting place. People exchange information as often as they exchange goods. A traveler arriving from another settlement attracts attention. Questions are asked. Stories are shared. News moves through the crowd. In a world without rapid communication, personal interaction becomes especially important. The marketplace helps connect communities. Not far away, a young apprentice follows an experienced craftsman through a workshop. The apprentice watches closely. Every movement contains a lesson. The master does not explain everything. Much learning happens through observation. The apprentice studies how tools are held, how materials are handled, how problems are solved. Skill develops gradually. One day at a time. One lesson at a time. Patience is essential. Mastery cannot be rushed. The sun continues climbing. The morning coolness begins fading. Heat spreads across the valley. Workers feel the change. The shade becomes more attractive. Water becomes more refreshing. The pace of movement slows slightly. The Egyptian sun demands respect. A group of builders works beside a stone structure. Sweat glistens on their skin. Dust clings to clothing. The labor is difficult. Yet the workers remain focused. Stone must be shaped carefully. Measurements must remain accurate. Every piece must fit correctly. The work requires both strength and attention. Physical labor often demands mental focus as well. Mistakes can create additional effort later. Careful work saves energy in the long run. Near the river, fishermen continue their tasks. A small boat drifts quietly across the water. The river sparkles beneath the sunlight. A fisherman studies the surface. Years of experience guide his decisions. He notices subtle changes. Small movements. Tiny disturbances. Patterns invisible to an inexperienced observer. Knowledge grows through time. Each season teaches something. Each year adds understanding. The river becomes a familiar companion. By midday, the heat settles heavily across the land. Many workers pause briefly for meals. Shade becomes precious. A group of laborers sits beneath a cluster of trees. Bread is shared. Water jars are passed around. Conversation remains calm. No one feels the need to rush. The heat itself encourages patience. The workers discuss their families, their crops, their plans, the ordinary concerns that shape ordinary lives. These quiet gatherings offer moments of connection, moments of rest, moments of recovery. Soon the meal ends. Work resumes. The afternoon stretches onward. A scribe sits in a shaded room recording information on papyrus. Outside, laborers continue working beneath the sun. Inside, the scribe's work requires concentration rather than physical strength. His hand moves steadily across the page. Records are important. Storage amounts, work assignments, deliveries, agreements. The smooth functioning of society depends upon organization. Many workers never meet the people whose records they create. Yet their lives remain connected. Everything forms part of a larger system. Across the valley, countless tasks continue. A potter shapes clay. A servant carries supplies. A weaver works at a loom. A merchant arranges inventory. A farmer tends crops. Everywhere, people contribute in different ways. The civilization depends upon their efforts. Hour after hour, the afternoon passes. Gradually, the sunlight begins to soften. Shadows lengthen across roads and fields. Birds become more active. The air feels slightly cooler. Relief approaches. Workers notice immediately. The end of the day is near. A fisherman guides his boat back toward shore. The river glows with golden reflections. A farmer gathers tools and looks across the fields. A craftsman cleans his workspace before leaving. The atmosphere changes. Energy shifts from labor toward rest. Roads fill with returning workers. Dust rises gently beneath sandals. Voices carry through the evening air. Children play near homes. Neighbors exchange greetings. Cooking fires begin appearing throughout the village. The scent of food drifts across the settlement. Inside homes, preparations for supper begin. Families gather together. Simple meals are shared. Stories from the day are exchanged. A repaired channel. A successful catch. A busy market. A lesson learned by an apprentice. Small events become evening conversation. The lamplight flickers softly against mud-brick walls. Outside, darkness slowly returns. The stars appear overhead. The Nile reflects their light. The village grows quiet once more. One lamp goes dark. Then another. Then another. The sounds of the day fade away. Workers settle onto woven mats. Children drift into dreams. Parents close tired eyes. The cool night breeze moves through narrow pathways between homes. And once again, beside the ancient waters of the Nile, the ordinary workers of Egypt surrender themselves to rest while the river continues its endless journey beneath the stars. The stars shine quietly above the Nile Valley. They seem almost close enough to touch in the clear desert air. Their reflections shimmer gently upon the river, broken only by the slow movement of the current. Along the banks, the villages of ancient Egypt sleep peacefully beneath the night sky. The day's labor is over. For now, the fields are empty. The workshops are silent. The marketplaces are still. Even the animals seem calmer during these hours. The world has settled into rest. Inside a modest mud-brick home near the river, an elderly farmer sleeps beside his family. Many years have passed since he first began working in the fields. His hair has grown gray. His movements have become slower. Yet much of his life still follows the same rhythms that guided him as a young man. The Nile rises. The Nile falls. Seeds are planted. Crops are harvested. The seasons continue. The work continues. Even as generations change, these patterns remain. The elderly farmer understands something that only time can teach. Most days are ordinary. Most moments pass quietly. Yet when enough ordinary days are placed together, they become an entire life. Outside, the breeze moves softly through the reeds. The river continues flowing toward distant lands. The night deepens. Hours pass. Then slowly, almost unnoticed, the darkness begins to fade. Morning approaches once again. The eastern horizon brightens with pale colors. The stars retreat. Birdsong returns. The villages begin to awaken. A young servant is among the first to rise. The household she works within will soon require water, food, and preparation for the day ahead. She steps outside into the cool morning air. The world feels fresh, quiet, unhurried. This brief period before sunrise often offers some of the most peaceful moments in ancient Egypt. The heat has not yet arrived. The roads are nearly empty. The Nile reflects the first light of dawn. She carries a clay jar toward the river. Each step feels familiar. The task itself is familiar. So much of life is built upon repeated actions. Yet repeated actions often create stability. People know what must be done. They know where to go. They know how the day will begin. Nearby, smoke begins rising from small cooking fires. Families prepare morning meals. The scent of baking bread soon drifts through the village. The smell seems to appear everywhere at once. From one home. Then another. Then another. Bread remains one of life's constants. Children grow up with it. Workers depend upon it. Families gather around it. The smell alone can make a person feel at home. As sunlight touches the tops of the palm trees, movement increases throughout the settlement. Doors open. Voices emerge. Sandals scrape against packed earth. Another day has begun. A group of farmers starts the journey toward the fields. The road follows the edge of an irrigation channel. Water moves slowly beside them. Its surface catches the golden light of morning. The farmers walk together. Some speak quietly. Others enjoy the silence. The companionship itself feels comforting. Many have worked together for years. They know one another's families. They know one another's habits. They have shared countless days beneath the sun. The fields stretch before them as they arrive. The land appears peaceful in the early light. Rows of crops sway gently in the breeze. Birds search among the plants. The soil looks rich and dark. The scene holds a simple beauty. Yet beneath that beauty lies responsibility. The crops require care. The channels require maintenance. The land requires attention. The workers begin. One farmer clears debris from a small waterway. Another examines young plants. Another repairs a damaged section of an embankment. The work unfolds steadily. Not quickly. Not slowly. Simply at the pace that the task requires. Nearby, a father works alongside his son. The boy is still learning. He watches carefully. Questions occasionally arise. The father answers patiently. Some lessons concern farming. Others concern life itself. Knowledge passes naturally from one generation to the next. There is no formal ceremony. No grand announcement. Just one person teaching another through daily experience. The Nile itself serves as a teacher. Children learn to respect its power. They learn how it nourishes the land. They learn how its seasons affect every aspect of life. The river becomes woven into understanding from an early age. Farther downstream, fishermen prepare their boats. The morning water remains calm. A thin layer of mist lingers above parts of the river. The sight feels peaceful. Almost dreamlike. One fisherman untangles a section of net before setting out. His hands move automatically. Years of practice have made the task effortless. The net has been repaired many times. Like many tools in ancient Egypt, it is expected to last. Care matters. Maintenance matters. Replacing equipment is not always easy. Workers learn to value what they own. Soon the boats move away from shore. Oars dip into the water. Small ripples spread outward. The river carries the fishermen into another day. As morning advances, workshops throughout the towns become active. A potter enters his workspace. Clay rests nearby beneath a damp cloth. The material feels cool beneath his hands. The potter enjoys this part of the day. The workshop remains relatively cool. The village has not yet reached its busiest hours. There is space for concentration. He places clay upon the wheel. The wheel begins turning. Slowly. Steadily. A shape begins to emerge. His fingers guide the process. The clay responds. A simple vessel takes form. Nothing extravagant. Nothing decorative. Just something useful. Many craftsmen spend their lives creating objects that become part of daily routines. Storage jars. Bowls. Tools. Furniture. Items used so often that people rarely stop to think about who made them. Yet behind every object stands a worker. A person who invested time, skill, and effort. The marketplace becomes busy as the morning continues. Merchants arrange goods carefully. Customers arrive carrying baskets and containers. The air fills with conversation. People greet friends. Exchange information. Discuss crops and weather. The market serves many purposes at once. Trade. Communication. Community. A merchant selling dates smiles as familiar customers approach. Relationships matter. Trust matters. People often return to the same merchants again and again. Years of fair dealing create strong connections. Business becomes personal. Personal relationships become part of business. The boundaries are often blurred. As the sun climbs higher, warmth spreads across the valley. The cool comfort of dawn fades away. Workers begin feeling the heat. The sunlight grows brighter. Stone walls absorb warmth. Dusty roads shimmer faintly. A builder wipes sweat from his forehead. A farmer adjusts his position to work more comfortably. A fisherman drinks water from a clay container. The day enters its more demanding phase. Still, the labor continues. Ancient workers understand that much of life depends upon persistence. The crops do not care whether a farmer feels tired. A damaged wall does not repair itself. A fishing net does not mend on its own. Tasks wait patiently until someone completes them. And so workers continue. One action after another. 1 hour after another. The rhythm remains steady. By midday, many workers pause briefly for food. A group of laborers sits beneath a cluster of palm trees. Shade offers relief from the sun. Bread is shared. Water is passed around. A few dates supplement the meal. The workers eat quietly at first. Then conversation gradually begins. Stories emerge. Observations are exchanged. Someone mentions a successful harvest from a nearby field. Another speaks about repairs needed on an irrigation channel. The topics are simple. Yet they connect people. Shared experiences create community. The meal ends. The workers rise. The afternoon awaits. The heat lingers across the valley. A scribe works inside a shaded room. A merchant organizes inventory. A weaver continues at her loom. A servant carries supplies from one part of a household to another. Across Egypt, thousands of small tasks unfold simultaneously. Most will never be recorded. Most will never be remembered by history. Yet together they sustain an entire civilization. As the hours pass, fatigue gradually settles into tired muscles. Shoulders ache. Feet become sore. Hands grow weary. The sensation is familiar. Workers accept it as part of life. The reward comes later. In rest. In family. In the cool evening breeze. Eventually the sunlight begins to change. The intense brightness softens. Golden colors spread across the landscape. The end of the workday approaches. A farmer pauses and looks toward the Nile. The river shines beneath the lowering sun. The sight feels comforting. The same river greeted him this morning. Now it welcomes him toward evening. The cycle feels complete. Tools are gathered. Boats return to shore. Workshops begin closing. The roads fill with workers heading home. Dust rises beneath sandals. Children run alongside parents. Voices drip through the warm evening air. Cooking fires appear throughout the village. The smell of food follows. The atmosphere becomes relaxed. The hardest work is finished. Inside homes, families gather. Simple meals are shared. Stories are exchanged. Parents listen to children. Children listen to parents. The day's concerns slowly fade. Outside, darkness settles gently across the Nile Valley. The stars return. The river reflects their light once more. The villages grow quiet. One household after another prepares for sleep. Lamps flicker. Then disappear. Voices soften. Then fade. The cool night breeze returns. The Nile continues its endless journey through the darkness. And beneath the ancient sky of Egypt, ordinary workers close their eyes once again, drifting into rest while the river flows patiently beside them, carrying another peaceful night toward another waiting dawn. The Nile moves softly beneath the moonlight. Its waters carry faint reflections of stars across the sleeping valley. Along the riverbanks, villages rest in silence. The sounds of labor have faded. The roads are empty. The workshops are dark. The fields wait quietly beneath the night sky. A gentle breeze drifts over the fertile land. Palm fronds sway. Reeds whisper against one another. The river continues its ancient journey without hurry. For thousands of workers scattered across the valley, this is the most peaceful part of the day. The work is finished. The heat is gone. The responsibilities of daylight have been set aside until morning. Inside a small mud brick home, a family sleeps together on woven mats. The room is simple. A few clay jars stand against one wall. Baskets rest nearby. A wooden stool sits in a corner. The possessions are modest, yet each item has value. Every object serves a purpose. The family does not collect things merely to own them. Life encourages practicality. People keep what they need. What helps them work? What helps them eat? What helps them rest? Many homes throughout ancient Egypt look similar. Different families. Different stories. Yet the same desire for comfort and stability exists everywhere. Outside, the stars continue their slow movement across the sky. The night deepens. Then gradually begins to fade. A pale glow appears in the east. The first hint of dawn touches the horizon. Morning is returning. A baker awakens before many of his neighbors. His work begins early. Bread must be ready before much of the village starts its day. He rises quietly and prepares the oven. The familiar routine begins. Flour. Water. Dough. Fire. His hands move through the process with practiced ease. Years of repetition have made every step feel natural. Soon the scent of baking bread begins spreading through the cool morning air. The smell drifts between homes. It mingles with the scent of damp earth near the river. The village slowly awakens. A woman steps outside carrying a clay vessel. She pauses for a moment and looks toward the Nile. The water reflects the colors of dawn. Soft gold. Pale pink. Faint silver. The sight never becomes entirely ordinary. Even after seeing it thousands of times. There is comfort in familiar beauty. The river provides much more than scenery. It provides life, food, transportation, fertile soil. Without it, the valley would be very different. As sunlight slowly spreads across the landscape, workers begin appearing on the roads. Farmers carry tools toward the fields. Fishermen make their way toward boats tied along the shore. Servants prepare for the duties waiting ahead. Craftsmen begin opening workshops. The valley comes alive once again. A farmer walks beside an irrigation channel. The water flows steadily. He listens to the sound as he moves. Many workers spend so much time outdoors that they become deeply familiar with the voices of nature. The sound of wind moving through reeds. The sound of birds gathering near the water. The sound of flowing channels. These sounds become part of everyday life. The farmer reaches his field and begins inspecting the crops. Morning light stretches across the plants. Everything appears calm. Yet the work ahead remains important. Fields require constant attention. A small problem can become a larger one if ignored. The farmer notices a section of soil that appears slightly drier than the rest. He studies it carefully. Then begins making adjustments to improve the water flow. Such tasks rarely attract attention. Nobody celebrates a repaired channel. Nobody records the effort on a monument. Yet these small actions help feed entire communities. Much of history depends upon ordinary people solving ordinary problems. Nearby, another group of workers tends a field of grain. The plants sway gently in the breeze. The workers move steadily between rows. Their pace is calm, measured. There is little reason to hurry. Agriculture rewards consistency more than speed. The land responds best to patience. As the morning progresses, the river becomes busier. Fishing boats glide across the water. Merchants travel between settlements. Supplies move from one community to another. The Nile serves as a road as much as a river. A fisherman rows steadily through the morning light. His boat cuts quietly across the surface. The shoreline passes slowly. Palm trees cast reflections upon the water. Birds rise into the sky as the boat approaches. The fisherman studies the river carefully. Years of experience have taught him where fish often gather. The knowledge lives inside him. Not written down. Not measured. Simply remembered through countless days on the water. He casts his net. The motion feels effortless. The net spreads outward. Then settles into the river. Ripples move across the surface. Now comes the waiting. Patience again. A familiar companion. Across the valley, workshops begin filling with activity. A weaver sits at her loom. Threads stretch before her. The work requires concentration. Careful hands guide the threads into place. One row. Then another. Then another. Hours may pass while the cloth grows gradually. The process feels slow. Yet many worthwhile things grow slowly. The weaver understands this. She focuses on the task. The rhythm of the loom becomes almost soothing. Nearby, a carpenter works beneath an open doorway. The morning air still feels pleasant. The scent of wood surrounds him. He studies a piece carefully before making a cut. Good craftsmanship depends upon attention. Rushing often creates mistakes. Patience creates quality. The carpenter has learned this lesson through experience. The workshop remains quiet except for the sounds of tools and movement. Outside, the marketplace is beginning to fill. Merchants arrange their goods. Customers arrive carrying baskets. Conversations rise gently into the air. The market feels alive. Yet not chaotic. People move at a comfortable pace. Stopping to talk. Stopping to examine goods. Stopping to exchange news. The marketplace serves many purposes. Food changes hands. Tools are purchased. Stories are shared. Relationships are strengthened. A merchant selling pottery greets familiar customers. Many faces return week after week. Trust develops over time. People learn who produces good work, who keeps fair prices, who can be relied upon. Community grows through these repeated interactions. As the sun climbs higher, the heat begins spreading across the valley. Workers feel the change. The pleasant coolness of morning slowly fades. Stone walls warm beneath sunlight. Dusty roads brighten. The air grows heavier. A builder pauses briefly to drink water. Nearby, a servant adjusts the weight of a basket being carried across a courtyard. A farmer wipes sweat from his brow. The heat has become part of life. No one is surprised by it. People adapt. They learn how to pace themselves, how to conserve energy, how to continue working despite discomfort. These skills develop over years, sometimes over generations. By midday, the sunlight feels intense. Shade becomes valuable. Workers gather beneath trees when possible. A group of laborers sits together sharing a simple meal. Bread is passed from hand to hand. Water jars move around the circle. Someone offers dates. The meal is modest, yet satisfying. The workers enjoy a few moments of rest. Conversation drifts naturally. One man speaks about his children. Another discusses repairs needed at home. A third mentions a recent fishing trip. The topics are ordinary, but ordinary conversations help build strong communities. People feel connected through shared experiences, shared work, shared meals, shared lives. After resting, the workers return to their tasks. The afternoon stretches ahead. A potter checks vessels drying in the sun. A scribe records information on papyrus. A fisherman repairs part of a net damaged earlier in the day. A servant prepares supplies for the evening meal. Across Egypt, countless workers continue their routines. Most will never become famous. Most will never appear in history books. Yet their labor supports everything around them. The civilization depends upon their effort. Hour after hour. Day after day. Year after year. Eventually, the sunlight begins to soften. The harsh brightness of afternoon fades into warmer colors. The shadows grow longer. A breeze returns. The landscape seems to relax. Workers notice immediately. The end of the day is approaching. A farmer gathers his tools. A merchant begins organizing goods. A craftsman cleans his workspace. The pace gradually shifts from labor toward rest. Along the roads, workers start the journey home. Dust rises beneath sandals. Children wait near doorways. Dogs wander through the village. Cooking fires begin to appear. The scent of evening meals spreads through the air. The atmosphere feels welcoming, comforting. After a long day, home offers relief. Inside a modest house, a family gathers together. A small lamp provides light. The room glows softly. Bread is shared. Vegetables are passed around. Perhaps a little fish from the river accompanies the meal. The conversation remains gentle. Family members speak about their day. A successful catch. A repaired tool. A visit to the market. Small events, yet meaningful ones. Life is built from such moments. Not from grand ceremonies. Not from great victories. But from daily routines shared with people we care about. Outside, darkness slowly returns to the Nile Valley. The stars emerge overhead. The river reflects their light. The sounds of the village fade. One lamp after another disappears into the night. Workers stretch tired muscles and prepare for sleep. The cool air drifts through narrow pathways. The fields rest. The boats rest. The workshops rest. And once again, beneath the endless stars of ancient Egypt, the ordinary workers close their eyes while the Nile continues its timeless journey through the darkness, carrying the peaceful night gently toward another dawn. The everyday life of workers in ancient Egypt, boring history ending, and now, as our long journey through ancient Egypt slowly comes to rest, the Nile continues flowing beneath the stars. The river has carried us through countless mornings and evenings. Through fields of grain warmed by the sun. Through crowded workshops filled with patient hands. Through quiet homes where families shared simple meals after long days of labor. We have walked dusty roads beside farmers. We have drifted upon calm waters with fishermen. We have sat beside potters shaping clay and weavers guiding thread through their looms. We have watched bakers greet the dawn long before the rest of the village awoke. And through it all, we have remained among the ordinary people whose lives formed the heart of ancient Egypt. The kings and monuments remain far away now. The noise of work has faded. The tools have been put away. The ovens have cooled. The boats have been tied safely along the shore. The final cooking fires have burned low. Across the valley, families have settled into sleep. Children dream quietly beneath mud-brick roofs. Parents rest after another day beneath the Egyptian sun. The tired muscles of workers finally relax. The worries of the day slowly drift away. Outside, the night air feels gentle. A soft breeze moves through the reeds growing beside the river. Palm leaves sway quietly in the darkness. The stars shine above the Nile just as they have for thousands of years. The river itself seems almost timeless. Patient. Steady. Endless. Its waters glide through the moonlight without hurry. Without effort. Without concern for the passing years. One generation follows another. The river continues. The seasons change. The river continues. The villages rise and fall. The river continues. Tonight, the Nile carries only silence. The silence of sleeping homes. The silence of empty roads. The silence of fields resting beneath the stars. Far away, somewhere along the riverbank, a boat rocks gently against its mooring. The sound is soft. Almost impossible to hear. Nearby, reeds whisper in the breeze. Then even those sounds seem to fade. The night grows calmer. Stiller. Deeper. The workers of ancient Egypt are asleep now. The farmers. The fishermen. The servants. The builders. The scribes. The merchants. The craftsmen. Their long day has ended. Tomorrow will come in its own time. Another sunrise will appear above the eastern horizon. Another morning breeze will drift across the river. Another loaf of bread will bake in a warm oven. Another boat will leave the shore. But none of that is needed right now. For now, there is only rest. Only darkness. Only the gentle flow of the Nile beneath the stars. The moon hangs quietly above the water. The river reflects its pale light. The village sleeps. The fields sleep. The boats sleep. And the ancient world grows wonderfully still. So let the cool night air settle around you. Let the distant river drift softly through your thoughts. Let the stars remain overhead. And beside the calm waters of the Nile, beneath the peaceful sky of ancient Egypt, allow everything to grow quieter. And quieter. And quieter still. Until there is nothing left but the gentle river. The soft breeze. The silent stars. And sleep.